folks, the Reality Gurus, the show we take a commonsensical approach to issues through complex conversation. I'm your host, G. Cleve. Listen, man, if this is the first time you guys are checking out this show, please consider sharing, commenting. We need to get more engagement with these types of conversations because today we're going to get into the situation about the shutdown. Let's be clear about something. They just called me a Trump supporter based on my views of this shutdown. I got my fellas here to go ahead and get into this. I got my man Anye. I got my man DB. Special guest Jamie. Reality Gurus. Fellas, let me get into this situation here, man. They called me a Trump supporter, man, because of my views on the shutdown situation. Now, we're going on day 29. Federal employees, 800,000 of them, are not receiving paychecks. They missed their first paycheck. This was last Friday, right? 2 weeks ago. Not this Friday past, before, the previous Friday, right? Okay, all right. Being that I'm not a federal employee, I don't know the pay schedule, but we do know that you guys are losing money right now. You guys are having to go to work and provide this labor, and there's no income coming. And I want to know, at this point, at this stage in the game, who's responsible. Now, my view was that the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. And the minute I said that, then all of the hate started coming towards me now. And I didn't understand. You can understand, you know what I'm saying? Up front, if you're hypnotized by the Democratic Party, then, I can see when someone says something about Democrats, you jumping out the window. But now it's time to focus and really pay attention to what's going on. The reason I felt that Democrats should be ashamed of themselves because federal employees are not receiving their checks. That in and of itself is enough for me. I don't think that the Republicans are the ones that go out there campaigning for the people. You know what I'm saying? Democrats are the ones that are always looking for all of these social programs and things like that. The permanent underclass are the ones that they serve, right? And now we're in a situation where 800,000 of these people that you're supposed to be focusing on and making sure are taken care of, they're no longer receiving paychecks. And there's a real simple thing that the Democrats could do to kind of change that situation, and they're not. And that's why I said they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Now, let's go ahead and run over to you, Anye, man. We talked about this last week, but after another 7 days, what's going on with this shutdown for you guys, man? How's things going on with you?
It's rough for some, but others, hey, we're in survival mode, luckily we're in a country that there's a lot of federal aid, you know what I'm saying? Like we getting certain assistance all over the place or whatnot, but certain people got some tight financial needs right now with respect to that. And also there's that fear in most people of how long is this thing going to last. That's the cold part about it, that uncertainty of we don't know how long this is gonna last. So how can I plan for something that I don't even know how long it's gonna last? So it's just everybody's just confused. I will say the positive thing is you see a lot of people helping each other out. Like I say, we're getting a lot of aid in certain places, but the question is how long. People don't know how long.
So so DB, you hear Anye talking about people holding on but not knowing how long. What as far as what you're seeing? What's the sentiment amongst the federal employees that you see?
It's pretty much the same, man. It's pretty much the same. I think the fact that they're giving up food stamps, they're giving out food drives, is keeping people afloat enough to keep their minds sane. You know what I'm saying? Because uncertainty is kind of crazy. The fact of not knowing when your paycheck is and people still showing up for work, that alone could drive you crazy. And I think they're giving you just enough to keep you in motion, but eventually that's going to run out. Eventually, there's only so much you can do with that where it becomes a problem because you can't necessarily feed somebody or you can't necessarily pay a bill with a can of beans. You know what I'm saying? So eventually that shit is going to run out. So it's in between where I think a lot more people now are probably focusing on what they're going to do next week, and then it's slimming down to what I'm going to do tomorrow as far as the job is concerned.
All right, so Jamie, as far as what it is that you've seen, you've heard DB, you've heard Anye. Is everything pretty much the same for you? Like the sentiment of the people, these federal employees that you work with on a regular basis?
Yeah, like Dee said that, I think the fear of the unknown is the biggest part. And you can't you can't keep expecting people to work on a promise. After a while, reality set in, and after a while, the reality of these bills and the gas and all this stuff. And believe me, it's appreciated that they offering federal aid, food stamps and things like that. I read something yesterday about how in Georgia they're trying to pass something where federal workers can get unemployment benefits and not have to pay them back. And if that happens, that's great too. Now I kind of think that they would use that as an excuse to not pay your back pay, but that's neither here nor there now. But it's cool.
Let me ask you a question with regard to that, Jamie. So you're telling me that they're trying to devise some sort of a way to get federal employees right now who are furloughed or not receiving their paychecks to be allowed to receive unemployment benefits that they will not have to pay back. That's the conversation. That's the conversation that's going on. The reason I asked that question because at the end. Yeah, you breaking up a little bit. Say that again.
Oh no. That was the article that I read. It said that they were trying to get that passed through the Georgia House.
This is what's interesting.
I don't really know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, it seems like. Hold on one second. It seems like your feed is coming through a little choppy, but hopefully we'll fix that and we'll get to it. The reason why I bring that up is because what are we talking about here? This shutdown is still going on. Why? Because the two sides, Democrats, Republicans, can't come to an agreement on the funding.
Right.
Let's go ahead and be clear about this. We're not talking about the wall anymore because the wall was a bipartisan idea. Matter of fact, Democrats talked about that just as much as Republicans did. So the wall is not the issue. We're now talking about funding, right? We're talking about funding.
Right.
The president asked for $5.7 billion and the Democrats came back with $2 billion. So now there are federal employees struggling financially. Some might be having issues with rules over their head. Who knows what they're going through? The fact that they missed a paycheck, right? And we're talking about these people going through that over money now. $3.7 billion. Again, we're not talking about Trump or the president requesting to drop a nuke on North Korea, say for instance. We're not talking about him going to invade a country and kill them off and take their resources. We're talking about the president requesting a certain amount of money for something that Democrats talked about in the past. I want to understand, how can any federal employee look at the Republicans forget the Republicans, Trump in a negative way today, now that federal employees are not receiving their income? I don't care who starts, but one of you guys is going to need to answer that question. How could you look at it?
I look at it like this. So there's always been walls and fencing along the southern border, okay? And I don't think the Democratic Party, and believe me, I have my issues with the Democratic Party, so I'm not out here caping for the Democrats. Mm-hmm. But I feel like what he wants is a monstrosity akin to the Berlin Wall. That's what he wants, and he's had to been talked down out of that. Mm-hmm. So he wants what he wants is a vanity project, not smart border security, because smart border security would be providing more fences, more barriers. That's cool, and providing more officers along the southern border. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like, oh boy.
Go ahead, Jamie. Continue. Go ahead, bro. I'm listening.
That's why I feel like this it doesn't have anything to do with border security. It has to do with Trump trying to leave some sort of legacy, if you will, and trying to show his support base. Well, look, I made good on this promise. He didn't make good on anything else, but he made good on this promise. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, a wall is ineffective anyway. Like, people just tunnel up under a wall. You talking about the type of people that he's fear mongering about? They tunnel right up under a wall.
Can I say something real quick?
Okay,
Because I think
before you say, hold on, DB. Let's go ahead. Let's walk this dog properly this morning. All right, let's walk this dog properly. So now I hear Jamie mention about the fact that the wall and it's monstrosity and thumbprints, and I get all of that. The question that I have is, how can any federal employee look at Donald Trump as the one that's causing all these problems today? I ain't talking about what happened 29 days ago. I ain't talking about 15 days. I'm talking about today. How does what did Donald Trump do? Let's be clear about what it is that actually happened with regard to the shutdown. People seem to think that Donald Trump said, "You're not giving me my money, I'm shutting the government down." That's not what happened. The government can't function without a budget, right? Once the budget was presented to Trump, it didn't include what he wanted for the wall, so he refused to sign it. That does not mean that he shut the government down. The government can't run unless it has a budget. So give the motherfucker the money he's asking for so these people could go ahead and get their checks. I want someone else to explain to me, how is it possible that Donald Trump is the problem today?
Today. Like I've said before, to me, it's more of an indictment on our governmental structure as a whole. I'm seeing blame on both fucking sides. I'm not just gonna go with the hysteria of, oh, this Trump, it's all Trump. Like I said, this is like a business negotiation, and both sides are standing their ground firm, for whatever reasons they're standing firm for. But my question ultimately becomes, how can we change up this process somewhat in the future to where we don't have so much fucking collateral damage, and we, the government workers, become that collateral damage, or this shit prolongs and we see the trickle down effects of such. So it's an indictment on the whole system. I can't just point at just Trump. The Democrats are taking just as much blame to me.
Okay, so you feel Democrats should take as much blame. I think they should take more, but DB, I'll let you continue on what it is that you were going to say.
I'll go back and forth, because the fact is, you can't necessarily take away the 29 days. You can't take away the fact that some of the rhetoric before, you can't take some of the rhetoric now. The fact is, some of it did start with Trump. Some of it was that he intentionally said, I'm going to create a government shutdown and take the blame for it because this is what I want. What the Democrats decided to do was play ball with that. So to me, it's on both levels when it comes to that. Daily, it changes back and forth for me, because one person does something petty, the next person does something petty. Right. That person does something petty in return to that, and then the same thing continues. It becomes cyclical. So my thing is that there is no increase on blame depending on the day it is. But overall, it's the same shit. I think the question that you really want answered, you're not going to get, because you want it from federal employees to why they don't see the Democrats to blame more. Not necessarily to blame at all, but more. But the fact is, their mind is not on that. Their mind is on survival right now. Their mind is, I just want the shit over with. And it doesn't matter where it comes from, what end. It just wants the shit over. I think it's kind of hard to say that if you give the man money, it's going to make the government better. I think it's hard to say that when you start linking certain things, when you start linking the idea of Democrats always want fencing, which not for nothing, we had a 3-day government shutdown like last year sometime, which was because they were actually willing to give him $20 billion in order to do fencing, and he decided not to do it. He decided he didn't want the money because he didn't want to increase the DACA program and make permanent citizens out of the DACA program. So he did the same shit then. Now, when it comes to, I want this, they're pretty much taking the same stance. It's just a reversal of power that they're doing the same thing. So honestly, I don't know how you could, anybody could just pick one side. They're both to blame to me, because y'all both playing petty politics for your own necessarily political gain.
Okay, so and that's my point. If we're talking about petty politics, this is a pissing contest going on between affluent politicians. who would you? Okay, if Trump, let's just do it this way. If the sentiment of the people, American people, the majority of American people is that Trump is a bully, right? He's a spoiled, petulant child, right? This is the sentiment, right?
Right.
And that he doesn't care about the people, and he cares about himself and his companies, right? So let me throw the analogy out there, because when we stick with politics, that's when it gets a little muddled. I'm just getting into details about politics myself, so I understand how difficult understanding, the nuances and stuff could possibly be. So let's switch it for a minute. Let's give this analogy. Let's change it to think about the grimiest individual you knew coming up as a child. Just the grimiest, the person in your area who that guy, stay away from him. He does this, he's in drugs, kills people, whatever the fuck it is. The grimiest individual you possibly could think of. You guys got him? Y'all got this guy?
Gotcha.
Now do me a favor. One day you hear he kidnaps some child, right? Or maybe he never kidnapped nobody before, but he's a grimy motherfucker, so you're not surprised, right? He kidnapped somebody. Right. All right. So now what are we gonna do? You watch this shit on TV. You see the loved ones of this child get on TV and they talking this shit about we're standing tall. We're not giving them anything. Our child is tough. They can deal with that shit. Okay, so this kidnapping signifies the shutdown, right?
Right.
The kidnapping signifies the shutdown. What did I say before? The Democrats could have got from up under this shit real easy by doing one thing, by taking this shit right to the day before federal employees were not going to get paid, and then giving the money to Donald Trump. That would have turned the Democratic Party into the doll of this fucking country. Why? Because at least you put your show of force there. You stood your ground, but you didn't go so far to where there was people that you Democrats always campaigning for. They're not injured. You took it as far as you could. As far as you could. Let's go back to the kidnapping for a minute. So now you got this child sitting in a dark basement waiting. Don't know what his fate's going to be at all. Just know that there's two individuals having a conversation about his fate. Now he's tough for a little while, right? But then all of a sudden he cuts a fucking finger off. That signifies the first paycheck that the federal employees did not get, a fucking finger. Now that child sitting in the basement, you still think that child is being tough, saying, I'm going to sit here and wait this shit out? No, the child lost a finger. Federal employees lost a paycheck. These motherfuckers won it over. But meanwhile, wait a minute. But meanwhile, you got the relative on TV talking about, even though there's a finger of my relative right here, I'm still going to hold on strong until this cat over here, who's already shown he's willing to cut a fucking finger off this child, to sacrifice something off this child. He's already proven it. You going to still play that game with him? You going to still play that game with him? These Democrats go into campaigns every year and pitch for these social programs. Let's help the underclass, let's strengthen the middle class and all that shit. They stay away from all this small business and tax breaks to businesses. They don't want nothing to do with that. They want to focus on helping the people, right? Now the people are in fucking trouble. And instead of you just giving in and giving this motherfucker money, this shit ain't worth nothing. We ain't talking about gold bars here. We're talking about paper. And it's not even their fucking money. Matter of fact, how the fuck y'all feel that they're still being paid and y'all are not? Let me get on my fucking soapbox.
And I agree, but both parties are getting paid. I find your analogy disturbing for the main fact that that's not how government is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be one person on top asking for something, hold a hostage in order to actually do something. That's why you have three branches. That's the reason why you have a president instead of a king. That's the idea, theoretically. That's the reason why we have that. That's the reason why we have these negotiations, in order for one person not to have enough power to do whatever the fuck they want. that's the reason why we have it. That's the reason why I find the analogy disturbing, because everything about government or a democratic government is supposed to work in order to not have that kind of situation.
Maybe.
I respect the sentiment because I know that it's coming from a part of the people suffering now. I think the idea of though just giving in is not necessarily a helpful one. I think just the idea of because somebody has a reputation of being a bully, that bully is not a president of the United States that unfortunately is going to have, in order to make sure this whole shit don't get run wild and we start doing things like bombing North Korea and all this other shit, that there has to be some kind of limitations put on them, and sometimes you do it with the smaller shit. I also take a little bit of the whole idea of basically that the Democrats are for the people and the Republicans are not. I think is kind of a mistake, because I think the fact is the Republicans, the way they do it is we're about the people, but we're about the people through business. We're about the people by basically opening up jobs, by basically being able to create small businesses, by being able to get tax cuts. They do the same thing, just in a different way. And what they're doing now, because the government shutdown actually hurts that. So they're willing to sacrifice their own shit, because eventually that is affecting business as well. That's affecting a lot of the shit that they were trying to do. So both are actually willing to sacrifice what they need for this negotiation, which again is right down the middle from. But go ahead, Jamie.
The reality is the Democrats, they talking about people like Schumer, Pelosi, all these people, Elizabeth Warren. They're not about the people. They're about their corporate sponsorship, then the people, if they have time. You know what I'm saying? So let's not get that twisted.
Yeah.
And that's what the Republicans are about too. The Republicans are about their corporate sponsorship and getting tax cuts for the wealthy. And then their base comes, because even if you're talking about the Republican side, half of Trump's base are the people that's most affected. Like let's see, if this thing goes on much longer, EBT and SNAP is going to be cut, right, by March. Trump's base is the biggest recipient of EBT, SNAP, Medicaid, and that stuff. No matter what the stigma is, which we all know is untrue, that's who makes up the majority of the recipients of these benefits.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So this whole thing with the Republicans, they both have the same logic. The Democrats put the facade on that they're about the people, and we see through that. Now there's different factions in each party that lean towards being about the people. Like there's a whole, like in the Democratic side, there's a whole new generation of progressives. Sheila Tlaib, AOC, Bernie Sanders. They're like they're more populists. They're more on populist campaigns, and I think the people like that genuinely do care about the people. But like the figureheads that you see now, they don't give a shit, man. They don't.
Jamie, let's be honest. There was something that you mentioned. Here's the thing: when we're having this type of debate for the purposes of people, again, who don't understand the political structure, that's why I simplify it by saying who's at fault. Because me, you, and the four of us, we understand what's really going on behind all of this shit. Like I said, the war is just a symbol.
Right.
Just like a war is a symbol. Any fucking thing that politicians are fighting over, whatever it is, it's a symbol at the end of the day. Right? So, I don't get caught up into, when I say about the people, I'm talking about what it is, the rhetoric that comes out of their mouths during campaigning, the shit that persuades.
No, yeah.
So
I think that's part of I think that's a good way to open up the conversation, like the simplifying it. But then we need to get into some of the more intricate stuff, because that's how people get caught up. Like my thing is like if if we take, people start taking your side, right? And they be like, all right, the Democrats is the fault. What are their options then? So the only other options is what? The Republicans. Basically meaning that now I'm stuck in between these two sides. If Democrats are fucked up, like as much fucked up as Greg is saying, then that's my only other option, instead of actually looking at things more direct. Like right now, there's nothing that honestly the people could do as far as the government shutdown besides being able to feed themselves. That's what they need to be looking at. They need to be looking at more the intricate shit besides the fact of who's to blame for this government shutdown. To me, personally, that's what I think.
I got you, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Of the 800,000 federal employees who are not being paid right now, there is a segment of them who are already doing their own shit. Jamie, for instance, just mentioned that there's something else that he has involved in the meantime. So I'm not talking about those people. Those people have an understanding of what's going on.
But those other people need to understand that. That's what I'm saying. Jamie is fine. I'm talking about the other people.
They can't understand it because you can't talk to them at that from that perspective right now. They're too hypnotized. Their head is up. Democrats and so forth. You can't have
this
that.
Is actually the good thing about the situation about being in a shutdown. You have no choice. Right? No. The fact is that because the hypnotizing is not coming just because that's not going to break the hypnotism. I'm speaking about this personally because the same thing, like I know these same people that don't like Trump are at the end of the day not going to like Trump. They have another reason not to like Trump. The people that don't like Democrats are not going to like Democrats for whatever reason, and this is another reason. Now, all this does is give them more to blame the person on. They're still seeing that same one-sided, one-track mind, so this is not going to break it.
10 seconds.
Further polarizing.
Let me just have 10 seconds. Let me just have 10 seconds to plead to the people real quick, folks. Listen, the presidency, the office, right? It's not a person. It's a position. Doesn't make a difference how you feel about the person sitting in the position. It's a position. Just like a head coach of a football team, you may see this motherfucker for 4 years and then he's fired. There's a whole new coach, right? But the team is the team. The presidency is not a person. Stop focusing on Donald Trump personally and focus on what's going on. Focus on what's going on.
They focus on the team as well.
Forget say again.
They focus on the team as well. You're right. You're completely right. But they focus on the team as well. It's Democrats and Republicans. You have two parties. So if you're about one, you're against the other.
Not necessarily. I would hope people.
I don't agree with that because let me tell you something. If there's a Republican that's talking on a more moderate platform, and now I'm not even gonna say leans left, but if he's talking like not ultra right wing, I will listen to that dude. If it makes sense, I don't have a problem voting for him. If he's talking moderate, like it's just like. Well, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. But I was saying, that how it's supposed to be, and there are people that have that mindset. But right now, people are playing by team, and that's the problem. A lot of it's playing by teams, and then people are following those teams.
We're super polarized as a nation. We're super polarized. Either you're polarized or you just don't give a period. And it's I feel like none of those either your attitudes are good for polarized.
It is, and that's why one of the main things that's one of the main things I agree with, as far as Greg is saying, is that we need to stop focusing on the presidency. We need to stop focusing on the teams. We need to start focusing on what better is for us individually. I think a lot of that has to do with just not necessarily formulating any kind of side, because the fact is, if you automatically say one person's thing, you start leaning towards the other side. I've seen that drastically.
It's not necessarily. Here's the thing, but okay, so what do you say about me, right? I'm saying I'm pointing right at the Democrats. Does that mean that I'm supporting Trump? That's what you're saying?
But no, I know you. So I would say no. But the other right now we got somebody, which I think is your boy, that said the quintessential black dude standing behind Trump holding the sign, talking about you.
That was in
that's the mind state. That's the mind state. That's the mind state of the people when they hear you, because they're thinking that since you're saying Democrats, that he must automatically be a Republican and a Trump supporter.
Maybe
Because their mind is already tunnel vision.
people have
So
to
that's what
start
I'm saying.
listening to what's coming out of my mouth. If I say I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm holding Democrats personally responsible for the reason that the shutdown is still going on, that's what I say. Listen to what's coming out of my mouth. How do you take that and be like, oh, he's the quintessential black Trump support? How do you get that from me specifically saying I'm not supporting Trump? I support the presidency. I support the office, not the people who sit in there. He could do all that extra shit. Matter of fact, first of all, presidents have a cabinet, they have a staff, right? How many people really think Donald Trump is controlling every single thing that goes on with regard to these policies? No, he has advisors. He has people sitting down with him discussing certain things. How could you just point at one that tells me of the lack of knowledge as far as politically is concerned that people have. If they could just focus on this one figure. Do you not understand that this is what it's about? That the harder you guys point fingers at Trump, the harder he goes. The harder he goes. All I want people to understand is that, listen, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. I have liberal views. I have conservative views. At the end of the day, the team that I'm playing for is Team Cleveland. The cats that are in this household right here and indirectly helping out people who are in my inner circle. That's how I play games. I'm not getting fixated on some old Democrat, Republican, I'm this, I'm that. I got, this is the symbol I rock with versus the symbol, and I hate the, that's stupid. It really is at the end of the day. It really is stupid at the end of the day. Listen, I don't want to go too far. I need to know, you guys, how you guys doing on time, man? You guys doing all right on time?
I think I gotta bounce.
So let's do this. Here we go. We're getting cooking. I know we're getting cooking. What we'll do is the government shutdown is still going on, so we'll hold on for a little bit, and we'll let you'll open up the conversation in the comments. We'll pose a question out there, and we'll ask the people specifically. Day 29. How are you guys feeling? You still looking at Trump as being, the reason why this government is still shut down, or are you thinking a little more about what's going on and putting the blame actually where it belongs? Appreciate my man Jamie, first time. Yay, DB.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
He'll be back here because we got a lot of things.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But
no doubt. It's your time, man.
Government shutdown part 3.
Hey, send me the link to that so I can share it, bro.
Yeah, it's coming, definitely. And folks, again, man, we are on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you check out, if you like anything that you've seen, check out the YouTube page. Consider subscribing. Got a lot of dope content coming out for 2019. I'm G Cleve, Reality Gurus. Take care.